one person that is making the most of her life and living it full is our next land champion in this week's Farmers Weekly. She has a Marlborough-based shearing business seeking to break all the stereotypes and how a shearing crew might look and behave, and recently awarded a Supreme Award in the New Zealand Rural Woman in Business 2020, thanks to NZI. Her commitment and passion to shearing came through into the judges, and when you read her story, you will be amazed that she's achieved all this at just now 28. Sarah Higgins joins us now. Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time to come on Sarah's Country tonight. The floor is all yours because, I mean, what an incredible year that ending experience it has been to be acknowledged for something that you probably think you just do day to day because you're passionate and love it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You've hit the money on the head there.
So let's go back. You went to Lincoln University, very close to where we are now, studying agriculture and majoring in marketing. Would you ever imagined back then that you would be heading up a shearing contracting business?
Absolutely not, no.
And so life has taken so many changes for you. What was that time when you were, working in the sheds and thought, hang on a minute, I might have a go at this shearing thing?
Yeah, well, it just started with an interest in learning how to shear, really, just so that I could say that I could do it.
And how does it lead from picking up a handpiece to actually going to creating your own shearing gang?
I guess it comes from the people around me a little bit, you know, like they give you an idea, give you a bit of a push, and you're like, oh, well, this is an opportunity, and yeah, it interests me, so let's do it.
So let's talk about the journey into setting up that. I mean, when you left school, you were working as a wool handler in the shed. But I mean, honestly, what made you go into 5 years now? You have a mixed gender team of 8 known as Higgins Shearing, and full-time on the job. I mean, that is such an incredible journey. What actually was that pathway to going, or did it just miraculously happen?
Yeah, well, in a way, it's like, you know, you get presented with these opportunities in life, and it does sort of come down. I don't want to make out like there's a big weight on those decisions, but they do really determine where you can end up. And I guess this is just a result of decisions I've made in the last 7 years, sort of thing, since leaving university, probably longer than that actually. But yeah, and I've just followed what I've enjoyed doing, really. So, and I've been able to do that.
It's interesting you do say about wanting to change the status quo of shearing crews. I shouldn't use the word gang. That could have been one of the sort of misconceptions around the shearing crew environment and culture. But it is something that we should probably talk about because it doesn't have the best rep, does it?
No, it certainly doesn't. It doesn't at all. And when I started, I'd heard, you know, I'd never worked in really, really big runs. I'd worked in Canterbury and overseas and that, and I'd always been lucky to work with really good people, but I'd heard a lot of horror stories and how things can be, sort of thing. So I guess I always set out to say, well, I don't want to be like that, sort of thing. So it's just growing from there.
Yeah, and so how easy is it to attract staff and keep that culture clean and pure as it can be?
It hasn't been too hard. Pretty quickly, though, the people that are different to you, they don't really feel like they fit in either anyway, so we end up in separate ways quite naturally, I feel, generally. And just like most things in this world, I think you sort of attract what you put out, or like with like sort of thing, you know. So we tend to attract people that naturally fit into our culture anyway.
Yeah, I know. Joel's like for like, aren't you, Joel? Just joking. And I suppose it's been a really challenging time with COVID, and of course the Shearing Contractors Association with Mark Barracliff I've spoken to multiple times on Sarah's Country about these borders closures dramatically affecting the ability to get labour. How's it been for you?
I'm lucky I've built up quite a good local crew here now, and I don't really need people from away or out of the region as such. So that hasn't affected me a lot at all, the border closures. But COVID itself was a challenge, and we just worked through it as a team. And to be honest, it hasn't had a major effect on our business, which is nice.
Really positive to come out the other side. Hey, we're heading into sort of A&P show season, and one of my favourite parts is to go along to speed shears. You naturally encouraging your crew to step up and join the sport shearing and encouraging the growth of that sport?
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy it, and that's absolutely, that's one of my passions about shearing, is getting into the competition side of things. But that's where a lot of my opportunities came from too. You know, like how I hooked up with the people who got me the job overseas when I travelled, and you meet more people similar to you as well at the competition, and you just learn so much about growing your capability as a shearer. You know, like if I hadn't done the competitions, I don't believe I would have done a world record.
Yeah. Yeah. Just sort of, sorry for my ignorance, that's not pointed out in this article. Are you predominantly merino, strong wool?
No, we're probably more strong wool at the moment, but the merino side of things is growing, and with the landscape changing in Marlborough, a lot of crossbred land is moving to viticulture.
Yeah.
So,
The reason I wanted to ask you that is I would really love your thoughts on the commentary I'm hearing from, those wanting to transform the strong wool industry, that we need to up our game in terms of shed preparation. What's your thoughts?
I think before we can do that, there has to be a market for the wool, you know, and farmers have to be getting some money for it, because otherwise there's no motivation there for them to put top effort into preparing their wool and to spend more money on it. That's the returns the way they are at the moment.
It's a real chicken and egg situation, isn't it, Sarah?
It is. Yeah.
Oh, hey, congratulations on behalf of our viewers and listeners here at Sarah's Country for taking home the NZI Rural Business Supreme Award for 2020. Absolutely fabulous. The wonderful congratulations to all of the finalists in that Business Awards. It's extremely inspirational looking and reading into the journeys and stories that feature there.
This is Sarah's Country.